views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you're invited to like and share them on Facebook. And now, Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie presents The African American Scene, hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Well, we've got 6 days. Lord have mercy. 6 days, and the nightmare will be over. And you don't get a chance to fight with me tonight because I got a guess. But I made sure that there would be no guests next week because by that time I know y'all will be having withdrawals because I've had 2 guests in a row. And so you haven't had a chance to fight with me for 2 weeks. So I know you'll be raring to fight after the conclusion of the election next Tuesday, and then I come on Wednesday. So I'm going to go to bed early Tuesday night so that I store up some energy and I'll be ready for you on Wednesday. But anyway, and let me tell you, I am going to pray to my Lord that somehow he can find a way to bring this country back together again, because right now we are in a mess. We are in a mess. And I have to tell you, there are guys that I have known for 15, 20 years, devout Christian men that are going against all that I thought they believed in for the sake of this election. And I have just shaken my head when I see some of their posts go up on Facebook and some of the emails I get. And I know these guys personally, and I go, how did you go there? Not the person I knew or I know. But anyway, so next week we will have at it. And oh my God, I'll just be so happy when Tuesday gets here. And tonight is my pleasure to have my guest, Anaya. Anaya, say hello.
Hello, Rudy. Hello, everyone listening this evening.
You know, I've had Anaya on a long time ago, but she has some interesting work out there, and I'm going to take a few minutes to delve into her background to reintroduce you before we get into some of the other aspects of what it is that she does. And I encourage you to call up at 340-1590. That's 340-1590. And Anaya is a very interesting person. She's a serious community activist, and she does all kinds of stuff. If it can be done and it can help support the community, she's done it. And now she's back and forth between Florida and New York. And Anaya is a graduate of Palm Beach Atlantic. Mm-hmm. My niece is a graduate of Palm Beach Atlantic back in May. How about that? Huh?
We have something more in common.
Yes, we do. Yes, my niece just graduated. And
Congratulations.
My sister and my brother-in-law are probably listening right now.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Great job. Well, that's a really great school, and I will say that, and I'll share some more thoughts about that. But yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how is it that you came to pick Palm Beach Atlantic?
Well, it's so interesting. Again, hello to everybody listening. I just put us out there on Facebook, so if you guys are tuned in, I'm going to say hi, and I'm so glad to be here this evening with my friends. I didn't choose PBA, actually. I was at Southeastern University, which is in Lakeland. That was my first choice, and I was happy there. But a series of tragedies occurred in my family that caused me to take a major step back, and I actually didn't even want to go back to school. I was so devastated. The loss of my cousin, she was murdered, and then my grandmother died right after, and I was lost without those two. But my aunt stepped in and said, you have to go back to school, maybe being closer to the family, since they were in the Palm Beach County community. Maybe being closer to the family will really, help, and help you stay focused, and, you can be with us and still go to school. And that's how I chose it. Well, it chose me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Palm Beach Atlantic is a Christian-based school too.
Correct, it is, and I had no idea. Matter of fact, both of my universities were Christian based. My first one was actually a Bible school, and Palm Beach Atlantic, I think, started as a Bible school and then turned into the mega, university slash. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a Bible school anymore. I think it's become real liberal and just free spirited. I think, especially because of the location off of Clematis Street in Palm Beach. Now, you guys don't even want to know some of my experiences there. Oh boy! So I think we used to go to chapel. That was a requirement. So, and I did take a lot of theology courses. So I will say, I mean, whether or not it's still Christian or Bible based, I don't know, but I did take some, theology courses and had to go to chapel and meet with the pastors and stuff.
Yeah. Was that a distraction?
What, meeting with the pastors?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Because you know what's so funny about that, due to the fact that I had just given my life to God, prior to going to that school, and then with the setbacks of my family tragedies, it was like, I think, comforting, because I didn't know where to go and what to do and who to be after my experiences and just being really lost. It was more of a healing, I think.
You hold on to that, because you touched on something that I really want to get into later on about self-discovery. That's
awesome.
something you talked about, and that kind of hit a buzz in me. Now, your real name, Ann Laura and Tenor.
Correct. And you said that very well, Rudy.
Oh, well, thank you. That was from my mother yelling at me if I didn't speak right.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
My sister and I growing up, and you'd walk through the house and you'd say something, and my mother would go, "Excuse me? What was that you said?"
Right.
We speak English in this house. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I know it.
So how did we get to Anaya from your original name?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Rudy, putting me on the spot. No, it's okay. A lot of people actually have wanted to know that, and I'll tell you. Okay, so do you remember back in the day, guys? I know this might sound foreign to those that are listening that have these cell phone and these gadgets and everything is operating through cell phones. Well, I'm a little older than this new generation. What is it? X, Y, Z, millennial, whatever they want.
Millennials right now.
Right. You never know with these new changes who we are now or whatever. So I was, this is funny. I was on AOL on a chat line with my cousin. At the time, we would communicate that way from New York to Florida as I was in college. And then all of a sudden, there were all these group chat things that I never heard of. Now, this is telling my age, okay? AOL, Yahoo, do you guys remember that? And so I was like, oh, this is cool. You could talk to strangers all over the world. Well, I would meet somebody from like Australia and like, talk to somebody about, the rain on the tin roofs. That was always my thing. Well, I met somebody like that I could talk to, and we communicated. We were like pen pals. His name was Jason. So crazy. And I had to act like my name was really cool, because my name was never cool. Anne. People used to call me Anna Green Gables, little, Red Riding. Wait, what is it? The other Annie, like, whatever, from the Broadway show.
Yes.
And I would say, how am I going to be cute with that name? Like, I have to switch it up, especially if I'm chatting with people in Australia and China or whatever. And so I want to put it like to be exotic, because I am mixed. So I wanted to put it Anita, because I do speak Spanish and stuff. So I could, play it off as a Puerto Rican or Black, Dominican or whatever. And it turned out within a Y. And then I was like, let's go a step further and make it a capital Y. And ever since then, my name stuck, and that's how I became Anaya. Now, with the last name, I was still a professional, still in college. I was traveling a lot. So I needed a last name. Being in professional scenes, you have to have a last name. So I was like, okay, I'm not a Cher, I'm not a Beyonce or anything. So what can I do? Oh, I'll drop the answer and turn it into an A period. So that's how that whole thing came about, too. So this is the truth that you guys are getting. Like, this is hardcore real stuff right now,
Yeah.
I wanted to be different, yeah.
So what does Anaya mean?
God's chosen and beloved one. God's chosen, beautiful, and beloved one, yeah.
Very good. So very good.
Thank you.
So you're with us now, and I guess you're going back to New York Sunday?
Well, actually, I fly out on the 15th, but I leave the Treasure Coast on the 10th. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you're now going back and forth.
Yeah.
So, what is it? Florida or New York?
It's both. And, Atlanta. And there's a lot of Atlanta in there. And then pretty soon, hopefully, we'll be in Africa with some of our adventures. So, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But,
So,
yeah.
Have you been to Africa before?
No. And that's why Africa is like one of the next places, on the list. Like ASAP Jack. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've never been either.
Okay.
I've never been either. And that's on my bucket list. Also, Cuba's on my bucket list. I really want to go to Cuba. Something about Cuba is I find very compelling.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're the CEO of the Freedom Entertainment Group.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Freedom Entertainment Group?
Freedom Entertainment Group is the business I started approximately, I want to say 4 years ago or so. And it was basically based off of my desire to have events, utilize my creative abilities, and put people in front of people that need them, like motivational speakers, positive entertainers, people that have those stories that you only hear about on TV, because 9 times out of 10 they are on TV and I have access to them. And so one day I had a dream and a vision to start this company because I was sick and tired of seeing the lack of positive role models on TV. I was on TV myself. I had been on BET, MTV. Some people still remember me from different shows that I did in Atlanta, and they'll still call me up like, I just saw you on TV somewhere, And while I was on these movie sets, I kid you not, I was unhappy. I had chased down this dream because everybody always told me I should be an actress and a model, and I finally got all the roles. I actually even modeled and worked for Magic Johnson, right, as his lead model. And I hated the entertainment industry. I'm going to tell the truth. And so one day it dawned on me that literally we need more. We need a lot more. And so I had this dream to start this company, Freedom Entertainment Group, where I would do motivational things, and positive entertainment. So it stands for basically motivational, positive entertainment in collaboration with educational projects equals more excellence in our communities.
Very good. I don't think people put enough value on how important it is to have the appropriate role models.
Correct.
Not just for black people either.
Exactly.
It helps bridge the racial divide too, when people are not seeing caricatures on TV that they are using to define who black people are.
Correct.
And while we're on this, I'm just going to say Port St. Lucie is doing something very special on Saturday. They're having a forum on race relations at the Civic Center, and it's going to be from 8:30 to 5. And I am going to be one of the panelists on the Race Relations Forum. It should be very interesting. They're going to have a series of speakers, and we're going to all talk about moving forward with respect to race relations in the city of Port St. Lucie. I know they did something very similar here in Fort Pierce.
Right.
Were you involved in that at all?
Well, it's so funny because of my connections here and my company being based here. Now, that's the funny part. Freedom is actually based on the Treasure Coast.
Okay.
And so that's why the back and forth occurs. I get all sorts of emails, all sorts of Facebook posts and information regularly. And I did see that. And I did see a lot of issues that were happening recently on the Treasure Coast. And I was not necessarily a part of that, but my marketing director, Angela, may have had a big role in that. And I know a lot of people were working towards bettering the community. Shouts out to everybody that has been standing together and doing much more, by the way. This community went from kind of like meek to just like, woo, everybody's on top of it. And I love it. And now we're moving it into Port St. Lucie, which really needs it, as we all know. So I'm excited because these are the things that I stand for. Yeah.
Now, so that's very good. So do people solicit your services to come about bringing them programs? Or I know Angela, that's a good person to have as a marketing director for sure.
Yes.
And my bet is she's listening right now, too.
I believe she is. I just saw a post. Hi, AB of AABB of the Treasure Coast. She's laughing at my real name situation, actually. She just posted. I love technology. Thanks, Angela.
Yeah,
and, people
do
solicit my my work. And actually, I got hired not too long ago to do a major project because I have been in the event planning industry as well. So this didn't just kind of come about. It was the experiences that I had gathered after years. And so I was basically called upon to put up a major event where I would, figure out what they needed and how to move forward. Plus with my book, which is so funny that we're talking about that, because of what I've done with my book and pushing it and promoting it, you would be surprised, Rudy. I have so many people that come to me and say, Anaya A., my biggest passion and dream is to write a book. I have so many stories that I want to write about. Can you help me? And I say, yes, I can, because I believe that everybody's story should be out there. And so I have a list of women that I'm going to be working with within the next couple of weeks to help them and mentor them. And maybe that can start into another company because, underneath Freedom, I have a lot of different tiers. And so I think counseling as well as mentoring is going to be right up under there because these women and men, a lot of times men won't come out and say it like, yo, yeah, I need your help. No, men have a more subtle way of doing things, in my opinion. And so I believe men want to know more about how to do these things as well, but they're not going to approach it the same way. So they'll talk to me and continuously ask questions, and I see where it's going. So a lot of times I'll nip it in the bud like, you want to write a book? You want me to help you? I got you. You want to do an event? Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm available to work. As long as you have a budget or you know what you want to do and your idea, come to me. We're working on something right now that's going to be major on the Treasure Coast and have something going on in New York as well.
So let's talk about your book.
Okay.
Women's Intuition. Where'd that come from?
A woman's intuition actually came from, it's actually a poem in here, by the way. It came from one day I was with my ex-fiance. Well, he was my fiance at the time. And he had just had surgery. And literally, after he had surgery, I had to take care of him because he couldn't do anything on his own. And something brought me to his jeans, or I think they were khakis or something. And something brought me to them. I don't know if I was about to do laundry or whatever. And women, we actually have this thing inside of us. They call it the sixth sense or whatnot. But I didn't tap into it yet. I was still very young. And that day, I was approaching his jeans or khakis, like I said. And then I looked in them, and I found a phone number of another girl. And it was at that moment that I literally was like, OMG, wow, And long story short, because I'm an author, or I was a writer all my life, I sat down and I penned how I felt because I couldn't do much about the situation at the moment. Of course, I went in on him. I'm a sister from Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
I went in, trust and believe. Okay. So, but I couldn't, go in too deep because he denied that it was anything going on. So therefore, all I could do was write about it because I never met this person. I never saw any other indications that there was something going on. But that phone number alone, I think, was that primary force to bring this book forward.
So there is a poem in there called Women's Intuition.
Oh, Women's Intuition, yeah.
Yeah, let's hear that poem.
Oh, you want to hear it, Rudy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's hear that poem.
You're so funny. I love
but
it.
listen,
Go ahead, talk to me.
I have no doubt, being a Brooklyn girl, that you went in on him about that.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, Cliff's over there laughing because Cliff says, "Yep, I know she did for sure."
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why I've had to tune it down a little bit, especially being in Florida. It's not the same vibe at all, and so that's why I'm glad I'm back uptown because But anyway, let's read this poem for you guys, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
All right. A woman's intuition. Awakened by the tightening of my stomach muscles, I was unable to agree. Fearing that something was terribly wrong, I knew there was an issue bigger than me. One notion came to mind. My only fear was that he was gone for good. The only man I ever loved was out of my life forever. And I could not deal with this terrorizing agony. I felt my whole being begin to quiver. I had to find out the truth. An unexpected phone call came through, only to reveal the man is no longer mine. Without too much thought, he's engaged to the wide-eyed girl. My life lesson was to remember one quote: "You never know what you have till it's gone." I am struggling day to day, hoping and praying that he will return, but there is the dread in my mind. that I did him too wrong. And now my man is gone and I am all alone. I will pray for strength from above and hope there is something positive to come. For I know a woman's intuition will never steer you wrong.
Very
So,
good.
you like that?
That's pretty loaded, though. Right? There's some self-reflection there
Of course.
about that relationship.
Well, a lot of relationships I've been through actually have been real tumultuous, if I can say. I've okay, let's put it this way. With that particular piece, it was with poetry and with the way my mind works, especially I'm very creative. So a lot of that didn't even occur. You know what I mean? But what happened was I see things going on in the future from a particular situation, excuse me. And so it was like, okay, you wouldn't be doing wrong. You wouldn't have this girl's number in your pocket. Okay, we're going to end this. This is what's going to happen, you know, because the Brooklyn came out and this, that, and the third. And he's like, nah, da-da-da-da, whoop-de-whoop. Now I'm getting into that dialect. And so with me, though, I created a whole scenario out of it. And that's how a lot of production producers, directors come up with a lot of their work, because we don't just see the moment. We see these possibilities. We see glass flying. We see windows shattering. We see cars getting slashed up. But at the end of the day, a lot of that didn't really take place. It was just something that I had felt in my inner being, and I had to express it, because poetry is just creativity, just coming out through emotions. You know what I mean? A lot of times we don't say exactly what we're feeling, but we'll write it down somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you agree?
I went through a period of time when I was into poetry,
Okay.
and it lasted from my senior year in high school to my first year in college, and then I just kind of walked away from it.
Okay.
But I have one poem that I wrote that I still have committed to memory, and it's called Love Is.
Share it with us.
What is love, sister? It's when you walk the floor till your feet blister. What is love, brother? It's when you see that girl and there is no other. Love is the little things you do love is the little things you do to bring the person closer to you. Love is the sleep you lost last night because you dreamed to hold her tight. Well, it's all right, and it's okay, because love is what you'll be in someday.
Oh, with the snaps, Rudy. So I take it you were in love at that moment, yeah?
No, I wasn't. I had been, but I wasn't.
Okay.
But it was just it conjured up into my mind what it was like to be in love.
Exactly.
So and that leads me to something that you talked about, and I think is very powerful. One of the things that you're talking about is self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is really difficult for most people.
It is.
What's your thoughts about self-discovery?
That's a good one. Self-discovery to me is basically, I could be cliche and say discovering myself, but it's deeper than that. It's discovering the emotions. It's discovering life. It's discovering who we are, who we're supposed to be, where we're supposed to be, and enjoying ourselves ultimately. Because if we don't sit back and realize that there's something bigger than us, we'll never discover ourselves, as well as all the endless possibilities out there. There's so much out there, and ourselves are just a tiny particle in this grand master plan. And so my decision in life on a daily basis is to discover something new about myself, but also help others discover themselves as well.
Well, this is a subject that I've talked about from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably one of the most difficult things for anybody to do is to be honest about themselves.
Yes, it's true.
There's very few people that I know that can really be honest with themselves. And I would like to think that I'm pretty good at that. I'm a fairly emotional person, and if something strikes me, I'll cry, and I can be hard as nails. But I think that the being honest with yourself is such a giant hurdle to cross, because we lie to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We lie to ourselves more than we lie to other people.
Correct. Yes, it's true.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you look in that mirror and you're not seeing who's really there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And because if you looked in the mirror and you saw who was really there, it might frighten you.
And that's why we have so many issues in today's society.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Well, I think one of the things is we say we love God
Mm-hmm.
and we believe in Jesus, and then we don't do all the things that that is necessary to do in order to reflect our belief in that.
Mm.
And I think that is an issue
Mm-hmm.
that causes us a challenge. My pastor recently was on James 4, and when he was in James, he talked about the passage in the verse number 4, chapter 4, verse 4. He talks about the people saw John baptizing people, and they said, "Who are you?
Mm.
Who are you?" And the pastor said, you know, his actions reflected a statement about who he was that made people want to know more about him.
Yes, yes.
You get it?
I'm with you. Yes.
Yeah, and he
yes.
said, if you want to be a good Christian person, people should say, "Who are you?"
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That is a serious challenge.
It is.
To for someone to say, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
There's something about you that's a little bit different. I need to know more about you.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you send off an aura about what you stand for and who you are that makes people say, "Man, I got to know something about that person."
Mm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So you're supposed to be doing the talking, not me.
You're funny. No, but I love where this is going, because it's funny that you say that. That's how my journey started, was when somebody stopped me on the streets of Atlanta and asked me who I was and where I was from.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, everything that I've been through, because I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always so positive and cared about everything and everybody around me, because it's a heavy load to have this heart, to have this desire, to be who I am today. Because if you knew me 10, 20 years ago, if my best friend is listening, she will be like, "Girl, yes," because literally I was not always like this. One day I'm in Atlanta, because I lived in Atlanta for years, and after experiencing one thing after another, just trying to find myself, that self-discovery thing again, literally I was stopped in the West End of Atlanta by an African brother in African garb from head to toe. He looked like the king of Zimbabwe or somewhere, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like he could have been somebody's king. And he literally stopped me. And I kid you not, to this day I talk about it and I still get chills. You'll probably see them popping up. And this man in gold and white asked me who I was. And I was like, "My name is Anaya A. What's up? What do you want from me?" Because I thought he was trying to holla, trying to get my number and stuff.
Right.
And he's like, "No, I don't want your number." Because I was like, "I'm not giving it to you anyway, because I have to be somewhere. So what do you want? Who am I? I'm Anaya A." He's like, No. Who are you? Who are you for real?" And he said, "Where do you come from?" I was like, "Yo, I come from Brooklyn."
Hold that thought right there, because we're going to get back to that.
Okay.
We're going to take a little break. And again, if you want to call in and talk to us, that phone number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. And my guess is Anaya A. So don't you touch that dial, because we're going to be right back.
Welcome back to the African American Scene. Once again, here's your host, Rudy Howard.
And we're back. And if you just tuned in, my guest tonight is Anaya A. Community active person, and wrote a book called A Women's Intuition, and we're having a talk about her book and about some of her life's experiences. And she was just telling me about a gentleman that she met in Atlanta that had a profound effect on her. Continue with that story.
Oh, sure. And again, thank you for having me on, guys. I'm so excited to be with you this evening. It's a pleasure and an honor. And so, so as we were talking about before, we had to take that quick commercial break. So I'm walking, imagine, right? Young. I was probably like, 23, 24. Thinking, this man was asking me where I was from. I'm from Brooklyn originally, so I'm telling him. He's like, no, who are you? Okay, I'm Anaya A. What's up, No, who are you and where are you from? And so now, at this point, this man is not stopping this line of questioning, so I'm kind of like freaked out. But something about him made me really look into his eyes and really stop the sass, stop the trying to avoid the situation, because I wanted to know what he saw in me. And so literally I was like, wow, well, my parents are from Haiti. My name is Anaya, but, my original name is Ann or whatnot. And, my grandmother was a major part of my life. And I'm in Atlanta now, but I'm from Brooklyn, and I've lived in New York, in Florida, and I've traveled abroad. So I kind of broke down my life a little bit. He says to me, do you not know who you are? He says, what you just shared with me is okay, basically, but you and your country, where you're from, do you not know the history of your country? And I said, no. He said, you need to look deeper in your life. And he says, basically, you need to know who you are. He said, you are a queen. You are somebody. You need to know who you are. And he told me to research and to dig deeper because I needed to know more of who I was. And I sit here, and as you can see, I have goosebumps all over my arms.
Yeah.
Because first of all, now this is the crazy part about this whole story. I'm Haitian American. I, big up Haiti all my life. Sac passe, comme on y out there, like for real, But I didn't even know the history of my own country. So here's a cause that I had fought for, growing up and everything like that, and always, was proud. But I didn't even know that Haiti was like the first freed country from slavery. Haiti had all this natural, history and beauty. And, when I would fly back and forth to Haiti, we were at my grandmother's house, and I was the only one that couldn't, handle the heat as well as the outdoors. So when everybody else was roaming the country, I'd have to be stuck home, being nursed by, one of our people that took care of us. In Haiti, we have people that take care of us on a daily basis and things like that. And so I was the one that never got to experience life outside of the walls and the parameters of my grandmother's home. So I never knew what Haiti was outside of there. But I am upset with my own people, my family, because they never sat us down as their younger generation to explain that we have this rich history, we have this culture. And I kind of was shaken by this man telling me who I was and who my people were and what our people had done. And it was one of those experiences because, again, when I looked back into his eyes after stopping and saying, okay, this is a moment I have to reflect upon and I can't just walk away from this, I had to take that conscientious choice to do so. I saw something in that man I had never seen in nobody ever. There was this light, you talking about my aura, how about this man's aura? It was so bright and brilliant and fascinating. And I was never moved like that before. And that's how I can remember that conversation, that moment vividly, across the street from the West End Mall. If you guys know anything about Atlanta, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right there next to the MATA, that little intersection where you're walking up the street to get into MATA, but right across from the West End Mall where the gas station is, that's where this thing happened. It didn't happen in some luxurious, beach somewhere or on a mountaintop. It happened in the middle of the street, kind of like with John the Baptist, when people are asking him, who are you?
Yeah.
What is this gift that you have? What are you doing here? Why do you care about these people? This man cared enough to inform me that who I thought I was not even the tip of the iceberg.
Well, and I think that's a real struggle for people of color. And the reason is because we're absent from the history books.
Correct.
And so... And I don't think people understand that the construction of self-esteem is based a lot on what you know about who you were.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you know what I'm saying?
If you don't know your history, how you gonna know your destiny?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to say.
And
right?
and when I graduated from high school, you know, my parents were good people, but they weren't intimately tied into the civil rights movement.
Right.
They were about trying to move up, and we lived in a nice little middle class neighborhood. But when I graduated from high school, the only thing I knew was Lincoln freed the slaves, and that we picked cotton. You know what I mean?
You better preach.
And when I got to college, I took a African American history class, and I was like, oh,
we did all of this.
yeah. And I don't think I had a sense of pride until I understood that we played an integral part in the construction of America.
Correct.
And I still don't think most white folks know what an important role black people played in the development of America. I recently, there was a program on PBS, it's called The African Americans, and I was so fascinated with it, and I didn't have the time to sit and watch the whole thing, but I bought the CD set,
Nice.
you know.
Oh, yes.
And I sat there and listen, I'm a pretty studious guy that studies a lot of stuff. And I was sitting there looking at all of this stuff, and a lot of the narrators, well, you know, the famous professor Henry Louis Gates was the moderator, but many of the narrators were white guys whose fathers and grandfathers had owned slaves.
Wow.
And so they were taking us through what it was that happened to African Americans as they came here. And some stuff I had no idea.
Well, that would happen. That will happen. And as you said, we're absent from the books. And one of the things that I struggled with, and when I became an adult, it all made sense why I could never just sit still when people would try to bully me when I came from New York and I came to Florida. And I share this kind of frequently, and now I have a platform where this will make more sense to share it on your show. When I was in New York, we lived, with Jews, we lived with the Germans, we lived with the African Americans, we all lived, and you're in buildings, you're in places, you're walking side by side on an everyday basis. When I get to South Florida as a young lady, they're calling me the N-word.
I know.
They're saying I eat cats. They're saying I came off a banana boat. Now, mind you, I'm now an adult that I can share these things. My grandfather was the colonel of the Haitian Army. My grandmother was a business owner, and in today's quote-unquote world, she would be a multimillionaire. My parents had nannies for us and chauffeurs. So they grew up with silver spoons in their mouths. And I never, ever shared this with these people because what happened was when we came to New York City, we had the nannies, we had the chauffeurs. I was in the private schools, but my mother made the decision to leave New York and come to Florida to find her own way. I believe she wanted to be freed from, I guess, that whole circle that she was a part of, and I think freed from, my father's side too. But we're not gonna talk about all that. But the bottom line was when I came to Florida, it was this world that I never heard of before, and it was so weird, and I hated it, and I would fight. And I had this desire to say, no, I'm black and I'm Haitian and I'm from New York. Who do you think you're messing with? Who? You're not going to talk to me any kind of way. And of course, that violent side came out a little bit. So that's why I try to tell people I haven't always been like this, but I'm still that person on the inside. I'm just not throwing blows. I'm not fighting you, but I'm going to do what I have to do. And I'm going to produce what I can to educate somebody and tell that young girl with the nappy curls and the big Afro lips and the nose that's wider than most and the big eyes, you are beautiful. You are going to succeed. You will make it. You will have a degree. You will travel the world. I don't care what people say about you. Just because we don't see ourselves in these books, that doesn't mean in another couple of years we're not going to. Because people are changing things around and we're tired. Do you know who Ava DuVernay is? DuVernay? She's the one that came out with the movie 13 in regards to the jail cell situation.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Common, and she's made so many different movies. This young woman is the epitome of what we need more of in our communities. We can't be afraid to talk about all the racism and all the problems that we've endured. And then Atlanta, Chocolate City. Well, Washington, D.C. apparently was the original Chocolate City. Atlanta is where not only did I find myself from, being a Haitian black woman, but all the discoveries you're talking about, they have museums and libraries dedicated. The first time I went to the West End Library in Atlanta and saw all the artifacts of what African Americans made and contributed to society, I cried. And I'm telling you the God honest truth, because before then, I had no earthly idea.
I know.
If people are listening now, do your research. Stop letting people put these things in your head that you're not going to be anybody, you can't do anything. Who said that?
Hey, let me tell you something. I was recently on a golf trip.
You better talk.
And I was there. The guys I was with, we're all about the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. 3 of us had the exact same story.
Wow.
And one of the guys is now a PhD, and he's from Cleveland, Ohio. He was told when he was a senior in high school, he was not college material.
And he has a PhD now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, pretty regularly, when we were coming along, that was told. I couldn't believe there was 4 of us sitting there, and every one of us had the same story. We were told we were not college material.
I believe it.
Okay? Now, I happen to have a mother who, when I came home and told her that, I had to calm her down from going to the high school. She was ready to go and turn the high school out.
There you go.
And I said, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. She said, you can be anything
That's right.
you want to be.
That's right.
You can be anything you want to be. And so she just blew that out of the water. But I wonder how many kids my age were told that, accepted that, and said, I can't do it.
Well, that's why we have the prison systems filled. That's why we have the mental institutions filled. It's funny. Shouts out to Althea Wiley and Jermaine Cooper. I just did a quick interview with them yesterday on Coffee and Girl Talk. We talked about this. We are so portrayed in such a negative light a lot of times that we internalize everything, right? We don't have an outlet. Who are we going to talk to? And a lot of times we think it's just women. Men have issues too that they want to talk to.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
You took your situation and you turned it positive. That's me, because I was told the similar things. Matter of fact, an auntie of mine, aunt-in-law, told me I would never graduate high school and I would be pregnant with several different baby daddies before I was even 18 or 21 or whatever she said. I was livid after getting all this other positive stuff from other people around me, after seeing my mom working hard and putting us through school and doing so much for us. And then this woman came out of nowhere. But you know what I did? I turned that negativity into positivity. Because I knew I wanted something better. You're right. A lot of people take what people say and they allow it to destroy their inner person, that person that can be the greatest thing out there. And you'll see a lot of people with their heads held down. Or even in Fort Pierce, for example, they always say Fort Pierce is such a negative place to be. It has all these stigmas. That is the God honest lie I've ever heard. I worked, hello, TBN, right there for 25th Street, Cliff and I know. I would drive through 25th Street every day and every night. There were times we didn't get out of the TV station until after 9 p.m. Who was shooting at me? Nobody.
Wow.
Who was trying to give me AIDS or whatever they were saying. See, I never had those experiences because I think in my mind, I said, I'm not going to have those experiences. And I will sit here and let you know that thinking something is what you're going to receive. So a lot of times we are talking to people and they're feeding us negativity and we receive it. But we have the power to say, no, I'm not.
But what we have to do, too many of us who have achieved some level of success are fearful of speaking out because they want to protect what they have achieved.
We talked about this too yesterday.
Okay.
I love it.
And I've had people say to me, you know, you're crazy. You probably could expand your business by another 25 or 30% if you wouldn't go and say some of the things you say. And I said, too bad. I got to be who I am.
That's
you
right.
know, I got my mission is to try to get these listeners to understand something about the black experience they're not going to hear from anybody else, because everybody else is afraid to talk about it.
Exactly.
And you know, I was in Walmart last week, and I want people to understand the impact of these kind of things. And so I was sitting there and doing some consultation for Medicare, but I was hungry, and so I had taken off my little badge, and I was standing in line to get a candy bar. I walked up behind this little white lady, and she grabbed her bag, put her both arms around her bag, and hugged it to herself. And then the cashier said, "Ma'am, you got to put your card in the machine." The lady took her card and put it in the machine and was holding on to it for dear life. And the cashier said, "Ma'am, let the card go." She said, "No, because somebody will steal it." Now, there ain't nobody there but her and me, right?
Right.
I'm going, now, in her mind,
Yeah.
I was getting ready to steal her pocketbook and hijack her debit card. Now, how in the hell did she come to that conclusion? She knew nothing about me.
Because it's your color of skin. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And it just does something to people. I'm serious. Like, a black person intimidates or scares a lot of people, and it's just the most awful thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had it happen to me, and I'm a female, but we're all in the same boat. But how do I combat that? I just let them know I'm not taking anything from you, sweetheart.
I told her the same thing. I told her the same
you
thing.
can
I
let
said,
go of that bag.
I said, I don't want your debit card.
Right.
I probably got 3 times as much money as you got.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's why these shows are important, and that's why we have to keep doing what we're doing, because until somebody speaks up continuously, and you know what's funny about that? Talking about paying it forward basically is what you're referring to, in my opinion. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I didn't want to say it out loud, but we have people that have so much money that could be doing so much more, and they don't. We have LeBron James that comes out of nowhere, this young man who just paid how much? $41 million for young people to go to college, when you've had his people, your predecessors, or what do you call it, the people before him that came before him, Michael Jordan, Nike, all these places that are full of money and full of, different ways they could help so many people, and they never did. And that's the problem. But thank God the mold is being broken, because I will say this, after LeBron James has stepped up to the plate, I've seen a little shift in Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Hello. Can we get an amen?
Amen.
Yes. Look, I don't watch every game out there. I'm not one of these sports fanatics, but I am a people fanatic. And after I saw what LeBron James has done and stepped up to the plate, I'm so proud and happy. And if he's listening today, Freedom Entertainment Group, we are a business. We need you, because we have so many more plans, seriously, for these young people, especially on the Treasure Coast. So if anybody's listening and has any connection to any of these major multimillionaires, these moguls, these Jay-Z's and all of them. I mean, I'm in New York City and I have a lot of contacts, but I need the funding to continue what I'm doing, not only to push my books, because I have several books that I've written, but also to give back to the community where I know needs it the most. And right here in this community is where my business started, because there's a passion to see the people grow. I'm telling you right now, I love the people of Fort Pierce. I love the people of Port St. Lucie. I even love the people of Martin County. They didn't do me too good, but that's okay, because God is faithful. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I want to do it more, but it's hard when all the people with all the funding don't necessarily help, those that need it.
Well, we can't be afraid. And see, here's one of the things that I've learned, especially I've been doing this show for 7 years now. And while people are afraid that it may hurt them, and I'm sure it has hurt me to some extent, there are other people that stop me in the street and have stopped me and said, I don't often agree with you, but you sure do make me think. And if I've done that, then I've done my job, but we're getting to the end of the hour. This has gone so fast.
So
I want you to talk about your book.
Okay.
And where people can get it.
Awesome. Well, as you guys know, it's Women's Intuition, and literally you can get it at createspace.com or also on Amazon and Kindle now it's available. But if you go into createspace.com, the / is 636-8172. Again, 636-8172. I'm on Facebook, Anaya A. period. Spell out the word period. And please get in contact with me, Freedom Entertainment Group. We're having another event, matter of fact, in July 28th, Port St. Lucie Community Center. I want to have an event here in Fort Pierce. Maybe we can work on getting something here in Fort Pierce. We're having a Day of Freedom in Port St. Lucie on July 28th. All-day event. You'll be able to get books and much more. It'll be positive entertainment, great fun, great times. And then also my next novel is going to be coming out very soon, After All the Pain. So guys, keep up with me. And then my artists. So a part of what I do is also manage artists. And I want to shout out Megan Irving. I don't know when her music is going to be able to be played, maybe soon. I'll send the links again so you guys can have that. But Megan Irving is based in New York City. She's a phenomenal singer, a beautiful woman, and she is so positive, and she writes all her original pieces. So hopefully we'll get that song played. And when it is, you guys will let me know, and I'll get the people in New York to hear that we're getting played all throughout Florida and stuff.
Okay, that's wonderful.
All right, look out for Megan Irving, and you can actually check her out on YouTube and SoundCloud, and her song that we're going to be pushing is I Don't Want to Wait. It's so powerful. I love you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, my friend, for being here. It has been a real pleasure. Folks, thank you so much for turning into the African American scene. God bless and be safe. And I will see you right here next Wednesday for the African American scene.
The African American scene with Rudy Howard, heard every Wednesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour. Archives of this show will be up on YouTube by tomorrow. To visit our YouTube, go to WPSLTV.com. Be sure to subscribe to WPSL TV on YouTube. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie. The African American scene is just another one of the many reasons why we're the talk of the Treasure Coast.